What's going on, guys? I'm excited to have you guys here. Hope you guys are having a great day. Whether you guys are coming over from Instagram, TikTok, you're finding me for the first time on YouTube, regardless of where you're coming from, I'm excited to bring you this video. There's going to be a lot of good stuff in here. I'm assuming you guys are here for a reason, whether that's to lose some weight. Maybe it's a lot of weight. Maybe it's just a little bit of weight. You're looking to build muscle, get out of that skinny fat phase, whatever it may be. There's going to be multiple pieces of information throughout this whole video. They're going to be extremely beneficial for you. Whether you got to take notes, do whatever you got to do. But let's get right into this because I'm excited, man. This is going to be some good stuff in here for you guys. I'm going to start with my slide one. I put together this whole presentation for you guys to kind of give you guys a visual while I'm going through it, rather than just me talking like I do on Instagram and TikTok. I want to give you guys a visual and go step by step throughout my whole process and my whole journey. If you guys don't know, if you're just now finding me on YouTube or whatever it may be, I was extremely overweight growing up. I was over 300 pounds by the age of 16, 17. Got stuck in like the skinny fat stage around 20 years old. And then from there, got really lean down to about 10, 11% body fat. And then was literally just like a skinny kid, was just skinny as fuck at that point. And then I went from really skinny, had been like consistently gaining, bulking my way up to where I'm at now. I'm 27 years old now. Crazy still to say I'm 27 years old, but I'm 27 years old now. And that's been my path so far. So I've been on all sides. I've seen every side of the process, the transformation process, from ages 16 to 20, 16 to 21. All I cared about, literally my entire life, not just fitness, my entire life, only thing I cared about and consistently thought about was, how do I lose weight? How do I burn fat, get the fat off, and keep it off? That's all I ever cared about. Everything I did, like, that was in the back of my head at all times. We'll get more into that kind of stuff. And then from ages 21, by the time I leaned down, I was about 21, 22. So from 22 to 27, it's been all muscle building. Me mastering the science, what works, what doesn't work behind muscle building. And that's why I'm bringing this to you guys today, because for 6+ years of my life, all I cared about was mastering the art of losing fat and keeping it off. And then for the last 5-6 years of my life, all I've cared about is the art of building muscle and keeping it on, right? So now let's get into it. So from struggling with weight my entire childhood to finally cracking the code on sustainable transformation, here's how I got here, and here's how I can help you guys do the same. You're going to hear me use the word sustainable a lot because that's my whole approach to this. It doesn't matter to me if you can get fat off. It doesn't matter to me if you can build some muscle. If you don't know how to maintain it and sustain it for the rest of your life, or at least for a long period of time. If you guys get 50, 60 years old, you just don't give a shit anymore, you want to let yourself go, by all means do that. But at least for the majority of our lives, we want to stay in shape. We want to be healthy. And the only way to make it sustainable is by learning how to enjoy the process, enjoying the process of losing weight, gaining muscle. Like I said, whatever path you're on, it's all about learning to enjoy that process. And I'm going to teach you guys throughout this video exactly how I learned to enjoy the process. So a little bit more background. So this photo right here, I don't know if you guys can see the whole photo. Let me move this for a second. This was me about 16, 17 years old. This was me right around my peak weight. This picture was taken right around that same time. I was about right around 300, 305 pounds in this photo. No muscle, all fat. I didn't know what a weight was yet at this point in my life. So I'll read this to you guys real quick. My entire childhood, I dealt with being overweight. At 17, I decided enough was enough. I couldn't continue living in the body I was in anymore. Trial and error after trial and error. It took me 3 years just to shed off and keep off those first 50 pounds. And it's not that I don't know what I'm doing, and that's why it took me so long just to burn 50 pounds. It took me so long to get from this stage to just losing the first 50 pounds because I just kept losing. I would lose like 10, 15-ish pounds, and I'd gain it right back because the methods I was doing and following to try and lose weight weren't sustainable. So I would get some of the weight off, and then I would like crash diet and just completely go off plan and stop doing the things I knew I needed to be doing because the things I was trying to do to lose the weight were never going to be something I could sustain doing. There were crazy diets or crazy exercise routines, whatever it was not sustainable, right? And the skinny fat stage was hard to escape, but I doubled down on what worked, right? So when I got to the skinny fat stage, when I was over 300 pounds, it was a lot more simple. It was a lot more simple than you would think. It really just came down to me moving more and me eating less. When you have this much weight to lose, just by trying, just literally trying, like you have to be honest with yourself and think, am I really trying right now? If you're really trying, you're going to lose weight if you have this much weight to lose. But when I got to the skinny fat stage, things got really difficult because I was in a spot where I still had some fat left to lose, but I also had a lot of muscle I needed to build. So I didn't know which route to take. And I had to be a lot more specific with my goals, what my goals were, and the approach that I was taking into my goals, like what I was doing. That's why I said by the time I lost the rest of the fat, because once I got to the skinny fat stage, I tried maintaining and just putting on muscle. I tried bulking. And then I finally decided what I needed to do was just get the rest of the fat off my body. And that's when I got down to about 10 to 11% body fat. But during this whole time, I was experimenting more in the gym more than ever. Like I was not perfect at this point in time. I was still losing the rest of the fat. I wasn't perfect in the gym yet. But by the time I lost the rest of the fat over that period of time, I was near a pro in the gym, right? And I'm still learning more to this day, but this was 5 years ago. So I've learned a lot since 5 years ago when it comes to weightlifting and building muscle. But that was good because the whole time my main goal was to lose the weight. I was at least trying to understand weightlifting. And then by the time it was time to like, okay, let's just focus on building muscle, I was already way ahead of someone else who would just be starting that trend, right? So that's why I said I knew exactly what I needed to do in order to build the muscle. I won't say exactly at that point in time. Now I know exactly what I need to do. But then I had a good idea, had a good understanding, right? So with everything I've learned over the years, from 5 years, I do not want to do that. Why did that just happen? Hold on, guys. I suck with this computer stuff. Okay, there we go. So over 5+ years of my life trying to understand and master fat loss, 5+ years of trying to understand and master the art of muscle building. And just to be more specific, because there's people who lift weights to be really strong. There's people who lift weights to try and look good. I've always been up the alley. I lift weights to try and look good. I lift weights. Like I've taken an enjoyment in bodybuilding, right? Like my whole thing is I want the things I do to be sustainable, and I want them to be efficient. I don't want to be doing shit just to do it. As much as I love the gym, I don't want to waste time in the gym. If I'm in the gym, I want to know everything I'm doing in the gym is getting me closer, one step closer to the goal I'm trying to reach. So if it's back day, everything I do on back day better get me one step closer to building a bigger back. I don't want to waste time, right? So I'm all about being efficient. Whatever's going to be efficiently build me the most muscle when it comes to building muscle side of things. Whatever's going to be the most efficient for me burning fat. That's, you know what I mean? So depending on what your current goal is. So with everything I've learned over the years, guys, I've put together what I like to call the next level transformation blueprint. I came up with that name just because I thought it sounded fucking badass. I thought it sounded really fucking cool. So that's the name we're rocking with. Sounds kind of intense. I like it. But within this whole thing, I'm calling the blueprint, right? Just by utilizing and executing on some of the things we're going to talk about throughout the rest of this video, there's absolutely no reason you guys can't lose at least 10% of your body weight. If you weigh 300 pounds right now, like I used to, there's no reason within the next 180 days, if you actually take notes and implement the things we're going to talk about throughout this video, there's no reason you can't go from 300 pounds to 270 pounds, lose 30 pounds, right? If you're 250, there's no reason you can't be 225 within the next 180 days or less. Emphasis on less, because you can definitely make progress in less than 180 days if you're really fucking on point, really listening and locked into this. But regardless, that's just to give you a little bit more room for error. 180 days should be more than enough time to make that happen. You should be able to leave this. So maybe you don't have fat to lose. Maybe you're here because you want to build muscle. Maybe you're at that skinny fat spot, but you don't have that much fat left to lose. Like you want to just start building muscle, or maybe you're just really skinny right now and you just want to build muscle. There's no reason within the next 180 days or less you can't at least make some progress. Assuming you're a natural lifter, I'm natural myself, lifetime natural. There's no reason. Obviously, it's going to take time. Building muscle takes time as a natural lifter, 100%. But within 180 days, that's half a year, 6 months. In 180 days, implementing the things we're going to talk about, there's no reason you won't be able to make some progress implementing these things as long as you execute. At the end of the day, you have to execute. You yourself have to execute. And the most important part of it all, man, regardless of if your main goal is to lose weight, build muscle, maybe it's both, you're going to learn how to do these things forever. You're going to learn how to just naturally implement these things, these systems into your lifestyle. And it's going to become easy. It's going to become easy. It's going to be second nature. And that's the whole goal. So let's keep it moving. Off to a good start. So I broke this blueprint down into 2 specific phases because for most people, I ran into this issue a lot. The reason like I stalled out and plateaued so many times throughout my journey was because there was too many times where I was trying to do a little bit of both of these things. I was trying to lean out, I was trying to build muscle, and in my head I was kind of trying to do both. Like I was kind of eating in a deficit, but I was lifting hard, I was eating a lot of protein, but I didn't see the most results until I would just specify on one of these two things at a time. There's some individuals who can do both, and that would be called a recomping phase. A recomping phase is going to be best for people who have a lot of body fat still to lose and have little to no experience, little to no muscle mass on their frame at all, little to no experience being in the gym. People like that, you can be in a calorie deficit as long as you're getting in enough protein, you're sleeping enough, you're drinking enough water, and you're training hard in the gym. You should be able to make some kind of gain, some kind of progress, even while you're burning that fat, because your body has so much stored energy from all the fat it's holding on to. So even though you're in a deficit, you can literally basically turn some of that fat into muscle. So you'll be losing some of the fat, will just be gone, and some of the fat will literally turn into muscle, essentially, is kind of how it works, right? So not the specifics of it, but to put it into simpler terms. But for the most part, I highly recommend you guys focusing on one of these two phases at a time. If you want to consistently and efficiently make progress as time goes along. If you guys want to be able to look back at any point in time, 6 months from where you're at, and just always like, oh, I'm one step further. I'm one step further than I was 6 months ago. I'm one step further now than I was 6 months ago. At all times, at any point in time. If you guys focus on one of these two phases at a time, I promise you that will be the case. I promise you that will be the case. And so I break these things down into a few bullet points, because let's go over the specifics and the most important things when it comes to the leaning out phase. So say if you're watching this video and you're like, because like me, for example, when I was 300 pounds, I didn't give a fuck about muscles or having muscles or being a big guy. I didn't care about any of that. I just cared about not being fat anymore. So that maybe that's you watching this right now. The things you guys need to focus on more than anything. I talk about putting an emphasis on cardio. That's why it says cardio emphasis. But I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. Cardio was never a huge part of my routine. At certain times, I was doing a lot of cardio without thinking about it, because I'm a big sports guy. I love playing basketball. So there'd be times throughout the year where I'd play basketball more than others, and obviously that's phenomenal cardio. But other than that, there were also a lot of times where I wasn't playing any basketball. I live in the north, so I only really play basketball outside of the parks. I like playing at the parks. And if it's during the wintertime, I don't do cardio, but right now it's the wintertime. I'm not playing any basketball, and I'm on a cut right now. I've been on a cut for 7 weeks, and I'm down 13 pounds, right? So, but I'm barely doing any cardio, just a little bit of walking on an incline treadmill after my lifts. And I'm not talking an hour plus, I'm talking like 10, 15 minutes. Why am I able to make consistent progress without killing myself on a treadmill and doing all kinds of cardio? Because my diet's locked in. My nutrition is locked in. When it comes to leaning out, guys, your nutrition is going to be 75, if not 80% of all it is that you're doing. You need to focus on moving your body at least a little bit, especially if you guys got a job. Like when I say cardio emphasis, just think of it like you guys need to move around every day. Regardless of how you're performing, how you're getting it done, you got to move. Some of you will have the luxury of just your job, your natural day-to-day life. You might move around a lot. That in that case, you might not need to do any cardio as long as let's just focus on getting your nutrition locked in, right? Some of you might be sitting at a desk all day, not moving at all at work. And if you think about what your whole day consists of, it's like, man, I really don't move around a lot. If that's you, you need to make an emphasis to move more. Like I said, you don't have to kill yourself with it. I don't move a lot. If I'm not at the gym working out and doing 10, 15 minutes on a treadmill after my workout, I don't move a lot throughout my day. I really don't. But that's because I know I'm disciplined enough to become 110% locked into my diet and the things I need to be locked into in order to reach my goals. That's why I'm able to get away with killing myself with cardio. So that's for cardio. Now, the 10-to-1 ratio rule, this is going to be huge in helping you guys maintain a calorie deficit and like sustain a calorie deficit for a long period of time. Because you guys got to realize when you're in a calorie deficit, it's supposed to be a little bit hard, because you guys are literally, replace the word calorie with energy. You guys are literally in an energy deficit when you're eating less. When you're eating less food than you're supposed to in order to lose weight, you're literally in an energy deficit. You're going to have a little bit less energy. That's normal. So in order to make it not so hard, make it a little bit easier and easier to sustain and do every single day over a long period of time, protein emphasis. The 10-to-1 ratio means for every 1,000 grams, every 1,000 calories, you should be getting about 100 grams of protein. Now, everybody's macros are going to be different, so that's not an exact number that you need to shoot for. So if you're eating 1,900 calories a day right now in order to lose weight, you might not need 190 grams of protein, but it's something to aim for. Aim for it. Like, okay, like a lot of my meals, I'm 6'5". I'm currently 226 pounds. So for me, I'm still getting close to 200 grams of protein every day. Like my bare minimum is like 190, 195. I try to hit 200 every day, but I'm a bigger guy. I'm 6'5". You guys might not need any more than 170, 180. But like I said, that 10-to-1 ratio is something to kind of aim for. Just think of it as, when you see that 10-to-1 ratio, well, just think of that as, that means the more protein, the better, because it's going to keep you more full. It's going to keep you more satiated. And it's going to make it that much easier to not overeat and not go over your calories. So find ways to implement proteins that you like and proteins that you enjoy into your meals. Okay. If you guys can find a way to enjoy proteins, so to the point where when it's time to eat protein, you don't hate it, you're going to be full after eating that meal. And hopefully it's a meal you like. And that's how you sustain this thing, man. You create meals that are high in protein that you enjoy eating, and then you eat those for a long period of time. It's simple. And recovery focus. There's going to be recovery. It looked like I think we're good. Every stage we go over, there's going to be a focus on recovery. Recovery is important. Anytime you're not recovering properly, you are putting gains on the table. You are putting gains on the table, either gains that your body is trying to make or gains that you have already made. You might lose. You might, especially if you're in a calorie deficit and you're not recovering, getting enough sleep. So when I say recovery, that's drinking enough water, preferably a gallon a day at least, getting in enough protein, and getting enough sleep, at least 7 hours a night. If you're not doing all three of those things, you guys are putting muscle on the table. You're putting it at risk because your body might be forced to burn off some muscle. Or say you're bulking and you're not recovering properly. Say your body was supposed to build muscle, but since you didn't recover properly, those extra calories just went to storing fat because you didn't have the nutrients or the recovery necessary to build the muscle, right? So now you're either getting fatter because you didn't recover, or you're losing muscle because you didn't recover. Now let's go into phase 2, the muscle building phase. So you're either in phase 1 or you're in phase 2. So maybe your goal is you're happy with your body fat. My suggestion to you guys is get to a body fat percentage you can be comfortable with, you're happy with, and then worry about building muscle from there. That's my recommendation. Some people think differently. That's totally fine if you want to do it a different way. Not saying that's the right way. There's a right way or wrong way. I'm just saying that was my approach to it. That's what worked well for me once I kind of locked everything in. So when it comes to muscle building, the main things you need to focus on, when it comes to like leaning out, my whole goal is like, you're not going to really be able to get much stronger in the gym when you're on a calorie deficit. My whole goal is to just not get weaker. If I can at least maintain my strength, that means I'm recovering properly. That means I'm still training hard enough. That means I'm still getting in enough protein if I'm not losing strength. You need to do all those same things when you're building muscle. But when you're building muscle, carb emphasis, you're going to be eating more carbs. The carbs that you cut out while you're cutting, you're going to add back in when you're bulking, plus even more, to give you extra energy for your workouts in order to help you build muscle. Because now you're going to be in a calorie surplus. You're going to have extra carbs for more energy. You're going to be able to lift heavier. You're going to be able to lift harder. And that end result is what's going to help you build muscle. And then in order to take advantage of that, you need to be progressively overloading. I don't want you guys shouldn't be doing sets of 15, 16 plus reps. If you guys are failing on an exercise past like 14 reps, you need to up the weight. What has worked very well for me, the rep range I try to stay in for my working sets. I'm not talking about warm-up sets. You can do a warm-up set. You can do 20, 30 reps, just get the muscle, just to fucking get it going. I don't care. But I'm saying an actual working set where your goal is to take it to failure. You need to, of course, lift with good form, of course, and you need to go to failure. And you should be failing anywhere between the 8 to 12 rep range is what I prefer. That's what I suggest to my clients. And like I said, that's what's worked phenomenal for me. Some people will say you can go as low as like 5 reps. If you fail at 5 reps, that's a good set. I've kind of found a more in between. I like just kind of being more in that in between amount, in that in between number. I don't have to lift as heavy, but I can still lift heavier, right? So it's been a good area for me to kind of stay in, and a good area for me to continuously progress within. So say if you're doing a weight where you're lifting with good form and you're failing at like the 11th or 12th rep, that's a good weight for you. Keep doing that until you're failing at like rep 13, 14, 15. Now that means it's time to up the weight, right? Because now you're getting too strong for this movement. You're starting to do too many reps because you're getting stronger. That's how you know you're progressing. And now it's time to up the weight, and you go up 5 pounds and you use that weight until you're doing 13, 14, 15 reps, and now you up it again. You get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? And again, recovery focus. We went over recovery. Water, eating enough protein, getting enough sleep, proper rest days, right? Like, don't hit the same muscle group 2 days in a row. Get like, I strongly suggest not hitting a muscle, like giving at least 2 days off in between every muscle. Some like the more like main muscle groups, like your chest, your back, your legs, like I try to give it at least 3 days. Something like shoulders, for example, or even arms, like sometimes I'll be okay with it, just like 2 days off. But it depends on how much of a psycho you are, because like I said, I'm all about being efficient and not spending your whole life in the gym, because I'll get more into that, because there was a period of time where I didn't have that much time for the gym. But I also have had periods of time where, like me, I just love the gym. I love lifting. So like I'll be in the gym 6 days a week if I can, but there's been a lot of times throughout my life where that just wasn't doable with my schedule. So like I said, we'll get more into that. So now those 2 phases break down into 3 pillars. We're just going to get a little bit more specific after you guys kind of see how this is trending. So the 3 pillars for training. What does intensity really mean? You always hear people say you need to train with intensity. You need to train intense. But for the longest time, I was like, I don't know what the fuck that means, dude. Like, what does that mean? What are you saying? So my understanding like I said, over the last 5-6 years of me mastering the art of bodybuilding and understanding exactly what it takes to efficiently build muscle and to be able to sustain it, my understanding, I'm going to give you guys my definition. If I had to give you my definition of what training with intensity means, that means training with good form. Training with intensity doesn't mean training like a fucking dumbass and just fucking throwing heavy ass weight around with shit form. That's not training intense. Training with intensity means training with good form and going to absolute fucking failure. You go to failure, so say you're doing a bicep curl and you're doing perfect fucking form, perfect strict form on every rep until you can't do another rep with perfectly strict form. That means you went to failure. And now what I will say is, I'm not against a couple cheat reps at the end of the set. If your whole set is you fucking swinging, using momentum, using shitty form, that's a shit set. But if you use perfect form all the way up until like rep 8 or 9 and you're failing at rep 8 or 9 and you use a little momentum just to get an extra 1 or 2 reps, rep 10, rep 11, okay, now I'm done. I'm cool with that. I think there could be something good to be found in that little area right there. There could be some growth in that spot, but your whole set shouldn't look like that. It should be very perfect form, and you should be failing within that 8 to 12 rep range with perfect form. And if you want to throw in 1, 2 fucking cheat reps in at the end, by all means, go for it. That makes you feel like you're making more progress. I'm not against that. So same thing I just said, form focused plus intensity key. So intensity being you're going to failure and you're lifting with good form. You're lifting with the proper form. Cardio methods that work. This was more of a joke, me putting a bullet point in there, because anything can be a cardio method. Any movement could be a cardio method. I could go in my downstairs in my living room right now and just fucking bust out 100 jumping jacks. Boom, there's some cardio. I got a staircase. I could just walk up and down my staircase fucking 50 times back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There's some cardio. I can go walk my dog. Cardio. Like literally anything's cardio, guys. Like it doesn't matter how you're doing it. You just got to get up and move your body. Just move your fucking body a little bit, right? It's good for you. Even if your goal is not to lose weight, don't be one of those people who bulk and they do no cardio. Like you work out your muscles. Why wouldn't you work out your heart? Cardio is working out your heart. That's your cardiovascular. That's the most important organ in your body. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not telling you to kill yourself with cardio, because I've never been someone. I'm a big advocate for not killing yourself with cardio, but it is still, in no doubt, great for you. Nutrition. We already went over what the 10-to-1 rule is and why it is so beneficial, because especially if you're in a calorie deficit, just because prioritizing protein when you're in a calorie deficit is going to help ensure that you are burning fat and not muscle. It's going to help you keep your strength, and it's going to help keep you 10 times fuller throughout your days, making it that much easier not to overeat and stay within your calorie deficit range. Meal selection, macro sources. It's really up to you guys. Like find quality, like I said, find high quality meals. Like when it comes to like, I'll go over some of the basics that I've used and I still use to this day. So my favorite carb sources, I eat bread. I do eat bread. And I'm not fucking like, sourdough or bust. Like I eat bread. Right now I'm in a calorie deficit. So I have like keto bread. It's like 45 calories a slice. English muffins. I fucking love bagels. I don't eat bagels as much when I'm cutting, just because they're too low. They're a little bit too calorie dense. But oatmeal, rice, potatoes, all that stuff is great carbs. Fruit, of course, that's like the number one carb. So those are my favorite carb sources. breads, rices, grains, potatoes, fruit. My favorite carb sources by far. And my proteins, I drink protein shakes. I eat protein bars. I eat protein pastries. I love protein snacks. I fucking love Greek yogurt. Cottage cheese, I go through phases. Sometimes I really like it. Sometimes I don't fuck with it at all. And I'm a big ground beef guy. I'm a big ground beef guy. I don't like going any fattier than like 90-10. If I'm bulking, I'll eat more 90-10. If I'm trying to cut, right now I stick to 96-4. But I love ground beef. I like red meat, steaks. So ground beef, steak. I still do chicken, of course. So my proteins are pretty simple. So it's chicken, red meat, protein shakes, protein bars, Greek yogurt. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm forgetting. Milk. I drink milk. Skim milk if I'm cutting. If I'm bulking, I usually don't do whole milk. I'll still do. I'll do like a 2%. Like a 2%. If I'm bulking, I'll buy 2% instead. Fairlife milk because it's got the best calorie to protein ratio. So I always buy Fairlife. Meal and macro timing. So some people are crazy about the macro timings or certain timings like carb timing, protein timing. The only thing I'm really like an advocate for is making sure you're getting some quality carbs in before your workout, at least an hour and a half, at least 1 to 2 hours before your workout. You're getting in some kind of quality carb source. Like today, for example, I had to get out the door quick. So literally this was this morning. I had to get out the door quick. I had a busy day. I put an English muffin in the toaster. I put just a little bit of peanut butter on her. I didn't go overkill with that. I did like half a serving of peanut butter with some raw honey, and I had a banana. And I knew I was going right to the gym. I was going to be working out within 40 minutes after that. So it gave me enough time to kind of digest some of that food. It was a really light meal, so it wasn't hard for me to digest. I got good quality carbs from the English muffin, great carbs from the raw honey, great carbs from the banana, and I got some of my healthy fats in from the peanut butter. So it wasn't a very high protein meal, but I was kind of more front loading carbs because I was about to work out. I don't love getting, if I know I'm going to lift within the hour, I don't like eating too much protein because protein takes the longest to digest. So if you guys didn't know, not only is protein help keep you fuller, that's one of the reasons why it keeps you fuller because it takes longer to digest. But the fact that it takes longer to digest also means that your body has to work harder to break down protein than anything else. Your body burns more calories breaking down protein than it does breaking down carbs or breaking down fats. So you will literally burn more calories by eating more protein, and you will stay fuller by eating more protein. That's why that 10-to-1 rule is so important. And I emphasize that so much. So yeah, quality carbs before your workout. If there's a day where you literally have no time to eat, get some fruit and eat a banana or two, eat an orange, an apple, whatever it is before your workout. And I promise you will have a better workout because of that. Along with like water, like don't lift like with no water in the system. Like I got to get at least like a bottle and a half, 2 bottles of water equivalent of in my system before I work out, or I'm going to have a shitty workout session. I'm going to go to failure like twice and I'm going to get lightheaded because I'm dehydrated. Now going to more recovery specifics. I feel like we've emphasized recovery so much already. Sleep, 7 hours at least. That's not an excuse. I was a gamer growing up. I would literally sacrifice my sleep over certain things, even throughout my journey, like earlier on. I was like, I got to work out, I got to eat, I got to cook, but I still want to play my games at night. So I was like, I'll just sacrifice a little bit of sleep. Not a good idea, guys. Like you're really, if you're choosing, your game, like playing the game late at night or whatever it is you do late at night over sleep, you're basically choosing that activity over gains because that's exactly what you're doing. Every time your sleep goes off track, I promise your gains are going to go off track. There's direct correlation between your sleep, your recovery, and the gains that you're either leaving on the table or gains that you might be losing if you're eating in a deficit. Proper rest days, we went over this already. I don't like I said, I try to give each muscle group at least 3 days off in between. Arms and shoulders, not as necessary for most people. I've come to realize, like a lot of people I talk to, like their arms and their shoulders don't stay sore for as long as their chest, their back, or whatever. So I think it's more optimal to give those other muscle groups we talked about 3 days, arms, shoulders, at least 2. Warm-ups and stress managing. Warm-ups are key, especially for me because I'm 6'5". I don't have my lower back's like isn't in the best shape. So something I gotta warm up my spine. I love dead hangs. I love arm circles with the band. They loosen up my shoulders. They loosen up my back. It gets me feeling great before my workout. I think that stuff like that is phenomenal. What are they called? The external rotations with the cables, just to get your warm up your rotator cuffs, stuff like that. So I got a bad shoulder. I tore my labrum when I was 17, and I got a bad lower back from having bad posture habits when I was going through puberty as a kid. I was overweight, my posture was shit, and I was going through puberty, becoming a 6'5" man at the same time. Bad timing. It's bad timing for all of it. Stress managing. Like if your stress levels are too high, it's going to be hard for you're going to be putting gains on the table. Once again, I'm not a therapist. So I can't tell you how to relieve stress. That's up for you guys to figure out. That's up for you guys to figure out. If there's something in your life that's doesn't necessarily need to be there, you can do without it, and it's causing a lot of stress on you, and you care about your transformation more than anything else, I say do without that thing, at least for the time being, to get it out of your life and eliminate that stress factor. I know there's stress factors that we had that we can't get rid of, like work, for example, relationships, kids, whatever it may be. There's a lot of things that we can't just eliminate like that. So we got to do our best to cope with it. Luckily for me, like lifting is a huge way for me relieving my stress. Playing my game, I still do. Doing stuff like this relieves stress for me. Like I just feel good knowing I'm pumping out quality content for you guys and I'm helping somebody out there. Even if I'm only helping 2 people who watch this video, whoever watches it, I feel amazing because I'm helping somebody progress in their life. Macros and water intake. When I say macro intake, like I said, make sure if you're bulking, you're putting more of an emphasis on your carbs so you have more energy for your lifts and you're able to lift harder and stronger. And your water intake, at least aim to get at least a gallon a day. That's going to be huge for all kinds of different reasons. We'll move on. This is the slide we started with because this was like, I get a lot of people coming to me about the skinny fat stage. I've noticed ever since I started making content, people come to me about the skinny fat stage more than anything else, even more than like when I was 300 pounds. They're like, man, how'd you get out of the skinny fat stage? Like a lot of people are stuck in this spot. That's why I started with this slide when we started the video. So this was after I lost that. I told you I lost initial 50 pounds. It took me forever to like figure out how to do it, but eventually I did it. And then I got stuck in this spot because the things I was doing to lose those first 50 pounds were no longer working to progress me further. I had to work harder and I had to be more specific in my approach, which is where we go back to, where was it? Right here. When I say I had to be more specific in my approach, I literally had to be more specific in my approach. I was like, okay, I was kind of doing a little bit of both. But for the most part, I was just moving more and I was eating less, right? That was no longer getting me progress. I stalled out for like 2-3 months. So I was like, I was to a point where I had to choose between one of these two things. I either need to commit to building muscle and add more carbs into my diet, focus more on progressively overloading, focus more on recovery more than ever if I want to build muscle, or I need to continue leaning out and just get rid of the rest of the fat. Either up my cardio or lower my food, keep focusing on protein so I don't lose any muscle that I currently have, and I can stay full and maintain my deficit longer. And again, recovering is always important. And then over time, I wish I had the picture of when I got down to like just when I was just like skinny. I wish I had that on here. It's on my Instagram a few times. If you guys look on my Instagram at Big Mitch Lifts, same name. But you'll see the photo. I got a few photos on there from when I just got like super lean, but I didn't have nearly as much muscle mass yet. So picture from the left to the right, you're probably looking at about 35, 45 pounds less of fat on my body, at least 35 to 40 pounds less of fat. So I end up in overall total loss, like 90, 95 pounds of fat. And I've put on like, I track this very well. I track this. I have a scale. I don't know how accurate my scale is, but it tells me my muscle mass and I've been using it for a while. According to my scale, I put on about 38 point something pounds of muscle mass since this time. It's a Renpho scale. You guys want to look it up, RENPHO. That's a scale I use. This is like an app. You connect it Bluetooth wise, you stand on it, and it tells you your body fat levels. It tells you your muscle mass, your BMI, all that kind of stuff, and it tracks your trends over long periods of time every time you use it. So according to that, I put on about 40 pounds of muscle, and I know for a fact I'm down at least another 35, 40 pounds of fat from here. So that's the difference between these two photos, just to put it into perspective for you guys. Let's get to the next slide. So before I move to the next slide, like don't take this for granted, guys. This blueprint is literally designed to not only shed away unnecessary body fat and build a strong muscular foundation, but it will teach you the habits and the strategies needed to make something that will last a lifetime. Like I said, I keep emphasizing that, but the whole thing is like learning how to like think kind of how I think now. Or like I said, I wasn't perfect at first, but over time I've kind of built these habits, and eventually you will too. And that's what's going to, and like I said, once you guys get to that point, that's when everything will change, because it'll become second nature. It won't become such a hassle or a stress on your life. It'll become you, right? And I'm sure right now, if you guys are sitting here watching this overweight and you don't feel comfortable with who you are, you'd probably feel a lot more comfortable with yourself if you considered yourself someone who was like a fitness pro, someone who was in really good shape and knew how to get in shape, knew how to stay in shape. You learn the habits and learn the systems to be able to do it yourself and show other people how to do it as well, like I'm doing with you right now. It's a good feeling. I'm not bragging or bloating. I'm just telling you the truths behind going from 300 pounds to skinny fat to where I'm at now. Just like I said, this next slide is going to talk more about it. So I'll just keep moving. Let's keep moving. I have nowhere to put this on this slide. We'll just block this one off for now. We'll do that after. Physical freedom, guys. So what changed for me? Like, obviously looking in the mirror, I was more happy looking in the mirror once as I got closer and closer to where I was trying to be. But more specifically, the stress of being too large for certain things lifted away from me. No more dreading vacations and taking my shirt off. Guys, think about how fucked up this is. As a kid, a young teenager, I hated going on vacation. When it was time to go on vacation, I didn't want to go. My parents are divorced. I never lived with my dad. So my dad, for like my mom would go on vacation. I basically had to go. Like, oh, we're going on vacation. I was like, okay, fuck, we're going. My dad, I didn't live with my dad. So it was more like he would ask me if I wanted to go on vacation. And I would look for every excuse in the book. Since I actually had a choice, I would look for every excuse in the book to tell him no. Like I've turned down cruises. I've turned down going to Mexico with him because it was an opportunity for me to not have to go take my shirt off, that I had a choice to make, and I chose not to go. So I didn't have to take my shirt off. And that's messed up. That's messed up. That's been one of the biggest things ever by far, especially now. Like I have a girlfriend, like she loves like the pool. She loves the beach. She loves those kinds of vacations. Like to be able to just comfortably like, yeah, let's go on a vacation. Let's go swimming. And I can just comfortably rip my shirt off and have a good time without overthinking it the whole time. And the worst part about it is, I'm sure if there's any of you guys out there watching this who relate with this part of what I'm talking about right now, you know the feeling of like being at the pool, at the beach, or wherever, and you don't take your shirt off because you don't feel comfortable doing it. Then you get people like nagging you, like, why aren't you taking your shirt off? Why aren't you taking your shirt off? Take your shirt off. Like, bro, don't you think if I wanted to take my shirt off, I would take my fucking shirt off? There's a reason I don't want to. And that's almost worse than I already know like this sucks that I don't want to take my shirt off. You just like pushing it on me and talking about it is making it 10 times worse. So like that whole scenario of my life just not being a factor, not even being a thing anymore is life changing in its own. But this is the first part of this, the stress of not being too large for certain things. Like literally, you gotta think, not only was I over 300 pounds at one point, guys, I'm 6'5". Like I was a huge just individual. One of my favorite things is roller coasters. I live in Ohio. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, but it's called Cedar Point. It's a badass amusement park in Ohio. There was one summer we went to Cedar Point, guys. I was in line for my favorite fucking ride, the Top Thrill Dragster. Look it up. It's like a fucking famous roller coaster. It's either the tallest or the second tallest roller coaster in the world. They just did some like remodeling to it. So I think that's what it's still called though. It was an hour and 45-minute wait for this roller coaster. I finally got to the front of this line. I sat down in the cart. I was with my mom. My mom was in so there was two people, there was one person on each side. So my mom was in the same cart with me. I sat down, guys, and my seatbelt wouldn't close. My seatbelt wouldn't latch over my stomach. The worker came over to me. I was nervous because I was like, dude, what if they start the ride? My seatbelt's not closing. Luckily that didn't happen. The worker came over and he tried helping me. Like I'm watching the worker like fucking stress. Like he's sweating, trying to close my seatbelt for me, trying to help me so I can ride this ride. Couldn't get it closed. You couldn't get it closed. I'm sitting here holding up the whole ride. People are waiting for the ride to start. People are in line waiting to get on the next ride, and the line's not moving because I'm too fat to ride the ride. I know it sounds harsh, but that's the truth of the matter. I was too fat to ride the ride, and I had to get escorted off of the ride after waiting almost 2 hours to ride it. And this was only halfway through our day at Cedar Point. We were only there. It was probably only like, I think it was only like 3 o'clock. It was still like, so like sun was still up, like it's still early in the day. We had a lot of time to go, and I didn't want to ride anything the rest of the day. I walked around. I didn't really want to ride anything because I was so afraid that it would happen again. And that was by far, if I wanted anytime anybody asked me what's the most embarrassing thing I've ever experienced, it is 100% that. And I did not want to experience it more than once. I experienced it once, and that was one of the biggest turning points for me for like starting. And I was like, dude, I got to start moving more and eating less because I have to get some of this weight off. Like that can't happen again. But I don't want to get too mushy gushy. Let's get on to the next part. This is like really like that stuff's awesome and all what I just talked about. But the biggest game changer is the confidence boost, night and day difference in professional settings. And of course, around women as well. I naturally carried myself differently, and people noticed. women, of course, like that should be a known fact. Like the opposite sex, if you lose weight, you're going to be more attractive to most people are going to find you more attractive at a lower body fat percentage if you're overweight right now. That's just how it is. That's just how it works. It's a rough world out there, but that's how it works, right? But it makes sense. Like you take care of yourself. Like someone who's really overweight, people see that like that person doesn't take care of themselves. They're not going to be sexually attracted to someone who doesn't take care of themselves, doesn't take care of their body. But someone who is in shape, it's the complete opposite. That's more appealing, right? That's more sexually attracting. So that aspect is effed up as it sounds. You can like body shaming, you want to talk about all that. It makes sense why it is the way it is. But I don't even want to talk about the women thing. What I want to talk about more than anything, being someone who has been in sales like for so many years now, was the professional settings. I made more money in sales than I have ever made before once I got in shape. Once I was to a point where I was like, okay, this guy looks like he's in decent shape. Once I got to that point. So like way before I'm even got to where I'm at now, like way before this, like once I just like leaned down and started lifting a little bit, toning up a little bit, that's when like I doubled my income in sales. Like I've done mostly home improvement sales, but I've done door to door, I've done telemarketing, I've done in-home, I've done home shows and events, all kinds of sales. My performance in every aspect other than telemarketing, because people don't see me, but every other aspect of sales skyrocketed for me, my performance. And some of you guys might be in sales too watching this, and you might be looking up sales videos, how to close better, how to do this and that, how to build better rapport. You might just need to lose fucking weight. That might be the secret to you making more money in your career, regardless of what it is, guys, because it might sound like it doesn't make sense, but it's just because a buyer is going to if they respect the person trying to sell them something, there's a better chance of them buying. And there's a better chance of them respecting somebody who has signs of discipline and like reasons to respect them, rather than somebody who doesn't look like they take care of themselves. That's just how it is. So like I said, this goes obviously hand in hand with just the respect gain. So I think the biggest difference was I didn't have the confidence boost until I noticed this respect gain. Once I noticed, because I was like, at first, like I didn't act any differently because it was like people see me differently, but I'm still seeing the same thing, my POV every day, right? But once I started realizing like, yo, like that scenario usually doesn't play out like that, and then it started hitting me why, like I was getting treated with a different level of respect as I got in better shape, and that's when the confidence came. Once I realized the respect I had gained from it, that's when my confidence really grew and really skyrocketed. So let's go over to the last bullet point. I fucking love sports, guys. My whole life, I love sports. Basketball, football are my go-tos. I fucking love sports, man. And like you can imagine, it's hard to play sports. It's hard to run around, jump around, cut when you're over 300 pounds. It's not comfortable. And to get to where I'm at now, and like now, like I'm older, but I can play basketball at a higher level than I ever have before, even though I'm 27 years old now, better than I could when I was 19, 20, because I'm in so much better shape now than I ever was back then. This is what I'm talking about, guys. It's never too late. Like you might think it's too late now, but it's always going to be better. It doesn't matter how much older you are. It's going to be better on the other side when you're in shape compared to when you're not in shape. So that's been awesome because a buddy hits me up. He wants to go hoop during the summertime at the park. I can tell him yes, comfortably say yes, and go have a great time doing it and perform well doing it. So that was also huge. So I just want to ask you guys a couple questions. You guys have made it this far into the video. We're almost 45 minutes in. I want to ask you guys a couple questions. Is this you? You guys can read it too. Are you currently overweight? Are you currently skinny fat? Are you sick and tired of not living up to your true potential? Guys, God gives us one, whether you believe in God or not. You have one body on this earth. You get one body and you get to run and use this body one time. And this was a big like mindset shift for me was, how am I going to have one body, only one body my whole life, and not ever see what I can do with it, not ever try to unlock its full potential, not ever try to lose the weight and start lifting. So you guys out there might think you just have some shit genetics, but once you actually start implementing the right systems, implementing the right workouts, the right foods, and doing it for a long enough period of time where you can see results, there might be some of you guys out there watching this who have the most insane genetics ever, and you just don't know it. And you never will know it unless you commit to doing shit like this. Isn't that crazy to think about? It was crazy for me to think about. Um, and not only all that, man, but are you ready for the gym, your gym time and your kitchen time to be worth it? And this is where I go back into talking about efficiency. Like the time, like no more like eating things that you think you should be eating, doing things in the kitchen that you think you should be doing. It's time to do the right things and like make it worth it. With the time you put into it, make it worth it. The exercises and the workouts you're doing in the gym, the sets you're doing in the gym, make them worth it. And like I said before, everything you do involving your food and your training, your recovery, all those things, everything you do should be getting you one step closer to your end goal and your end transformation that you're trying to get to. And the coolest thing ever, I remember the first time I looked in the mirror and like I had finally felt like I made enough progress to be like happy about it. And yeah, like I looked in the mirror and I was like, wow, like like man, we've came a long fucking way. It took me a while to get to that point and feel comfortable enough with the progress I had made, but it's a crazy feeling, guys, if you guys haven't had it. And everybody deserves to live their best life. Everybody deserves to live their best life. If you guys think you're not worthy of it, you're completely wrong. You guys 100% are deserving of it. And because of that, this is what I have for you. You guys have made it. We're almost an hour into this damn video. I have an offer for you. We looked at this slide already, but now I have an offer for you involving it. If you guys are truly ready, you're done wasting time, and you're truly ready to shed off at least 10% of your body weight, if not more, depending on how much you got to lose, right? You guys are ready to learn the systems necessary to pack on lean muscle and progressively continue to pack on lean muscle for years and years to come, and never have to go back and find more information because you just know what to do. And like again, never go back, like, because you're going to have the systems and the strategies in place necessary to make this a lifestyle that you can just implement without even thinking about it. And it'll be second nature to you guys. Like I already stated, I can help you guys achieve every single one of these things and more using this transformation blueprint. This is just me emphasizing it some more, guys. You've seen my journey. You understand the process. Now it's time for you to write your own transformation using this next level transformation blueprint. There's nothing I want more than for you guys to not only take something out of this that you can implement to yourself, but I'm sure you guys have already been there. I'm sure you guys have looked up stuff online, ChatGPT, Google. You've gotten workout plans. You've tried meal plans. Some of you, maybe not all of you, but some of you have tried these things already. And it just hasn't gotten you to where you need to be. And I just want to talk about one serious factor that none of those things offer, and that's the accountability aspect. And that's something a lot of men lack and a lot of men really need. Not just men, women too. If I got any girls out there watching, hello. That accountability aspect is a game changer. It really is. I just want to leave you guys with one more thought before you head on out from this video. And like I said, I really hope you took something away, learned something that you can use throughout your own journey going forward and find success using, right? Other than that, guys, I just want you to think about one thing before you head out. Think about how much easier it would be to commit to the process and do all the things that are required in order for you to reach your goals going forward. If you knew everything you were doing, you knew for a fact, guaranteed, it was getting you one step closer. There was no more guessing what to do in the kitchen, no more guessing what to do in the gym. You knew for a fact your actions were going to get you results. That's exactly how the program is designed and set up. It's completely customizable to you and your schedule, personalized to you. And like I said, I really hope I see some of you guys in the call. I'm really looking forward to talking to some of you guys. I'm going to put my Calendly link in the description below. My dog's going crazy, so I got to go take care of that. But I appreciate you guys for watching. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.